1-3. Michigan State and Kentucky both 2-2 in the event. So that's at the United Center next year, and then MSG in 2016. So hopefully I can go see it at MSG. I didn't get to see it the first year in 2011. But yeah, that's pretty awesome. So as I said, I'd talk about the ace. Actually, no, I'm not going to go on to that yet. I'm going to go on to the teams that were ranked and lost, starting with Florida. So Florida is playing like 7 scholarship guys, and they lost a home game to Miami and needed overtime to beat Louisiana Monroe. Sheldon McClellan and Angel Rodriguez are going to lead Miami places. I'm telling you that right now. I knew they were solid transfers, but I didn't think this Miami team would be competing for the top 25 anytime soon. But Florida, looking at the box score, played 8 guys. Well, they played 7 players against Miami. I'm not sure how many of them are scholarship guys, but I talked about John Horford last week being a potential impact transfer from Michigan. He looked very good. Eli Carter looked good. Michael Frazier looked good. But then you're hearing guys like Dorian Finney-Smith didn't practice again, and not sure what his status will be for the Bahamas or for their upcoming game in the Bahamas. Well, I'll talk about the Battle for Atlantis a little bit later. So Florida have got this tough stretch coming up with the Battle for Atlantis, and then the games against Kansas and Florida State, UConn. So they've got pretty tough schedule coming up, and Miami's a pretty good team. Like, they're a good team, and I thought, they were down like 14 points at one point in this game. So it looked like they might not win, and then McClellan hits that, or was it Rodriguez? I think it was Rodriguez, hits that big shot at the end of the game to win it, and that was pretty impressive. So yeah, I think Florida they're not out of it at all. They're hurt by injuries. Chris Walker, I don't know what to deal with that guy. Like, are they not playing him enough, or is he just not that good? Like, he was supposed to be really good. Now, it looks like they played him 26 minutes, and he only scored 4 points against Louisiana Monroe. So, I don't know. Maybe Florida fans can enlighten me a little bit more. Is he just, hurt or something? Because he was supposed to be really good, and he didn't have much of an impact last year. And it doesn't look like he's having much of an impact this year. Yeah, last year he barely played. Like, he only played more than 10 minutes in a game once against LSU and only scored 2 points. So maybe LSU fans can enlighten me on what's the deal with Chris Walker, because I thought he was super talented, but apparently he's not putting it all together. So if he can really put it all together, he can really be huge for this Florida team, and they can make a difference in terms of playing offensive and defensive basketball. They can really be a really good team, and I'm not too worried about this loss to Miami. I'm going to be completely honest. I'm not too worried about this. I think certainly they have some stuff to work on, but when the injuries heal and the players are better, this is a team that's going to go far. And that brings me on to my next team, another team that lost in a heartbreaker, blowing a huge lead on the road to a team that just lost its National Player of the Year and is now ranked. Oklahoma fell to Creighton after leading 42-24 just after the start of the second half, and they ended up falling 65-63 against Creighton. Then they bounced back with a win against Northwestern State ahead of this week's trip to the Bahamas. Oklahoma, I thought, was going to be a really good team. I think they still are going to be a good team. They don't have a super tough non-conference left without this Bahamas. Missouri's in there, and then the other 2 top 100 KenPom teams are Tulsa and Washington. The Washington game is in Las Vegas. The Tulsa game is in Tulsa. So this Oklahoma team, I think, is another team that will contend for the Big 12 title, certainly. Guys like Buddy Hield, Ryan Spangler, Jordan Woodard. The big addition was getting Tashawn Thomas eligible. Houston lost a lot when they brought in Calvin Sampson on the loss of, I think his name was James Dickey. I think that was the former coach for Houston. I'm going to look that up. But, yeah, I don't know, James Dickey was a poet. I'm not really sure what I was thinking. I'll look again. I need to see who that Houston basketball coach was. No. Yeah, it was James Dickey. I'm not really sure. Yeah, I just Google searched James Dickey, and it brought me to this poet guy. So yeah, with the loss of James Dickey, they lost both Tashawn Thomas and Donwell House. And Donwell House went to Texas A&M, who's another program on the rise with their recruiting prowess from Billy Kennedy. And then Tashawn Thomas, who's probably the better of the two, is declared eligible for Oklahoma. And that's a big get because he's a front court player. He's 6'8", a lot of potential, and he put up a 101 offensive rating with 14 points. Buddy Hield obviously looked great, and this is a team I completely. Well, never mind. Sorry, that's a Bahamas match. I was gonna say, yeah, they've got the Bahamas left. Creighton. When I talk about Creighton, I thought Creighton looked good. I mean, I didn't watch the whole game. I watched like the last maybe 10 minutes when they talked about Creighton making this huge comeback. I thought Austin Chapman wasn't bad. I guess Zach Hansen had a 204 offensive rating in 18 minutes. So this is a team that has some talent. You know, they're gonna have to. It's gonna be tough for them to replace Doug McDermott, but this is a team that certainly has a chance to make some noise in March. They've got Nebraska, Tulsa, and Ole Miss, and St. Mary's left on the non-conference schedule for Ken Palm, top 100 teams. And none of those games will be easy, except I'm not sure why Tulsa's ranked so high. I really didn't think they'd be that great of a team this year. But, yeah, Creighton could be, Creighton and Providence have both be real sleepers in this Big East. Maybe the Big East is better than we thought. I mean, really. They have been very impressive. 30, I believe they've had 2 losses all so far through this non-conference, and both of them are from Marquette. A team that I don't think anybody expected to make huge noise this year. But I will say the loss to Nebraska-Omaha is bad. But I guess it's a testament to how Nebraska-Omaha is building up that program in preparation for their future in qualifying for the tournament. They went 17-15 last year. For a school that has men's hockey as their first and foremost sport, it's good to see a team like that going far. Devin Patterson is a junior, CJ Carter is a senior. So that's a good win for Nebraska-Omaha. It's good to see a small program like that succeed. Back to Oklahoma. Good team. I don't think they're going to be too fazed by this loss, and I think they'll get past it. UConn, great game last night. If any of you guys missed it, I was getting berated by people on Twitter for watching the UConn game ahead of Sunday night football and missing a great catch by Odell Beckham Jr. that I honestly thought I've seen better catches, but whatever. I was watching UConn West Virginia, and I thought it was a great game. 2 things that UConn needs to work on: shooting and free throws and turnovers. They had like 18 turnovers, probably even more than that, and they couldn't shoot a 3 for their life. They went 3 for 18 on threes and had 19 turnovers. That was really bad. I thought Dan Hamilton looked great the first 15, 20 minutes, and then he just looked bad. 8 turnovers for Dan Hamilton. He's still a freshman, and he's still good, but UConn never led in this game. They did not lead at all. And West Virginia just really turned it on. UConn came out of the second half really good, and then just fell flat. And Jawan Staten is the real deal. Man, watching this West Virginia team just got me thinking, how good could this team be if Aaron Harris had decided to stay? Now, I'm not totally sure why he even transferred. It's definitely not a playing time issue or anything like that. But how good could this team be if Aaron Harris had decided to stay? Daxter Miles, I thought, has a lot of potential. Jonathan Holton looked good. Devin Williams is good, but he didn't really show too much last night. He got fouled a lot. Yeah, this UConn team, I think, still has a ways to go. Amita Brima, people were talking about him making the step up this year. I don't know if he's really that good of an offensive player. He hasn't really made the step up this year. Kenton Facey looked alright. Rodney Purvis, he got hurt, and then he needs to be more of a team player, man. He is super, super talented, but he needs to learn when to take a good shot and went to pass the ball off. I thought Sam Cassell Jr. looked good. I thought Philip Nolan in limited time looked really good. But this UConn team has a ways to go. Certainly, the big game against Texas that I tried to get tickets to, and I just was not able to. Then they've got Duke, and the only other top 100 team on the schedule is Yale, but I feel like they should win that game pretty easily. So yeah, that should be a learning experience for UConn. Still a good team, still the defending national champions, so I'm not too worried. I think they'll go well. I think they could win this Texas game this weekend. West Virginia, though, Bob Huggins missed 2 straight NCAA tournaments, which seemed unusual of him. He'll be back this year, certainly. This is a good team. Jawan State in his senior year. Maybe, dare I say, he takes West Virginia on a little Shavaz Napier-esque run to the NCAA tournament. Maybe not that extreme, but hey, nobody thought UConn would win the tournament last year, and look where they ended up. West Virginia. Maybe West Virginia's the sleeper in the Big 12. Maybe. Left on the schedule for them in the top 100, LSU, who I don't think is a top 100 team, Wofford, who I also don't think is a top 100 team, and NC State, which is a neutral site game in New York at MSG. Maybe I'll try to go see that game. NC State, I think I should win that one. And then they've got the Big 12 schedule, where just TCU and Texas Tech are not ranked in the top 100. So, tough Big 12 schedule. They'll have to really make a stand if they want to keep looking good. But they've looked good so far. Boston College isn't a bad team. George Mason's not a bad team. Lafayette's not a bad team either. So, they really haven't played a terrible team, except for maybe Monmouth, whose star freshman from that same Prime Prep Academy that produced Emmanuel Mudiay, their best recruit ever in Monmouth history, is academically ineligible. Hint, hint. Maybe that's why Emmanuel Mudiay couldn't play at SMU. Hint, hint. Anyway, West Virginia, I think they're a pretty good team. Certainly, lots of potential. Yeah, so, pretty good to see what they can do so far. And I'm looking forward to see more out of them. This Big 12 is going to beat each other up. They are going to beat each other up, definitely. And, yeah, so that'll be fun. I'm looking forward to see more out of what West Virginia can do. Moving on to Syracuse. Did not look good in the loss to Cal. This is a California team picked by most to finish in the bottom half of the Pac-12. They beat up on Alcorn State and Kennesaw State, 2 of the worst Division I teams, before getting, I wouldn't say smacked, but they lost bad to Texas. And certainly, this is not an easy road left for the Syracuse Orange. Michigan, St. John's, Louisiana Tech, and Villanova in a 4-game stretch throughout December. None of those games are easy. Yes, I said it. Louisiana Tech is a tough game. They've got Speedy Smith, Kenneth Smith, to watch out for, and Michael White's one of the best coaches that nobody knows about. And they also have Holy Cross, and Holy Cross beat Harvard, so I guess you can't count them out. This Syracuse team, I just don't think they're adapting to the zone yet. I've never seen a Syracuse team look so out of place on defense, playing Cal. Like, they just didn't look like they were a Syracuse team. And they don't have a go-to guy either. Rakeem Christmas, is he that go-to guy? Chris McCullough, is he that go-to guy? And the third part is that Caleb Joseph is no Tyler Ennis. I mean, Tyler Ennis and Michael Carter-Williams were both good recruits, but I don't think anybody expected them to step up the way they did as freshman point guards. That raised people's expectations for Caleb Joseph. But to put it bluntly, he's not Tyler Ennis. And if you want him to be Tyler Ennis, you're going to be disappointed. Because Caleb Joseph had a 90 offensive rating against Cal, and his offensive rating against Iowa was a 74. So he's not Tyler Ennis. He's never going to be Tyler Ennis, and he's a good player, but I think definitely the expectations of him to try to be Tyler Ennis is a little too much. So they need a go-to guy. I think Chris McCullough can be that guy, honestly. I think he's super talented, and he has a chance to, make a stand in terms of what he can do as a post player. And maybe he's super talented. I got the pleasure of seeing him last year before he got kicked out of Brewster Academy in New Hampshire. And back-to-basket play was really good. Looked pretty good, so definitely